Hello and welcome. Welcome to the MBLEx review course. My name is Jodi Scholes and I'm your instructor today. I'm your instructor for the MBLEx review course. Today we are talking about navigating the body. Now, this may sound like a familiar topic. However, we're approaching it in a new way today. And I'd encourage you to revisit all of the videos that are in our Patreon site on navigating the body. There's a nice little search box that you can use to scroll through and pull up all of these. These classes are designed, the navigating the body classes are designed to be foundational, to be fundamental, to give you that base. So we remind you about anatomical position, we remind you about anatomy, we remind you about kinesiology, and today we're going to get nitty-gritty on the joints. We're going to take a deeper look at the skeletal system and talk about each of the types of joints. But before we do that, this class, as you know, it goes down in 3 rounds. And those 3 rounds, the first one is my test-taking strategies. So I bring to you some test-taking strategies so that you can prepare not just with your knowledge, but that you can be well prepared on test-taking day with some strategies, because it takes more than just knowledge to pass this exam, to pass the MBLEx. Second part of class, we're doing navigating the body today. And in the third part of class, we're going to dissect some questions. We're going to dissect some questions that are similar to the ones you may see on the MBLEx. Give you some practice dissecting questions, for the MBLEx. So practice on rational thinking. And you get that practice by taking practice exams as well. You get that practice by taking practice exams, by taking quizzes, in the online learning center, maybe through an app. But we're going to dissect some questions together. So those are the 3 parts of class. Let's get to it. My test-taking strategy for you today is to understand the concept of doing meaningful homework. Many of you guys, as graduates of massage school, have entered this program because, and you've said to me at different times, I've heard this over and over again, oh my gosh, what in the world do I study? What in the world am I supposed to be studying? There's so much. I've got my books from school. I've got the AMTA app. I've got the ABMP app. I've got the MBLEx study guide. I've got Merlino's stuff. I've got Sandy Fritz's stuff, Susan Salvo's stuff. Oh my gosh, you have a lot of stuff. What we do here is we organize what you need to study. And we organize it through the document from the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards, the content outline. And many of you have already printed that content outline. Navigate. So when you go to the Federation's website, it's going to look like this. And you can hover over, see I'm using my cursor, hovering over exam, and we can go to exam content. This tells you exactly what's going to be on the MBLEx. Now you've got to scroll down, doesn't just pop up for you, but you see content outline. It's kind of hidden. But here you go. Here's exactly what's on the MBLEx. So, and this is how our course, this MBLEx review course, this is what we study. Yeah. So anatomy and physiology, you see over here. I don't really like how this looks. There we go. All right. So anatomy and physiology, 11%. That means 11 questions on your exam are going to be on anatomy and physiology. Today in our Navigating the Body class, we're going to walk through each of these different systems of the body. I'm going to name them, and it's up to you to understand what each of these systems does. In fact, you can see we've got all of these systems of the body. And if you and I were to talk, you would be able to tell me the anatomy of that system, what organs, what glands are a part of that system of the body, and the function of that system of the body. Yes. And so in anatomy and physiology, you would tell me the organs that are involved in the system of the body and the function of those organs. So let's just take a look. Cardiovascular, heart, right? Heart, veins, arteries, the capillaries, and what does that cardiovascular system do? That cardiovascular system delivers oxygen-rich blood to the body, brings back oxygen deficient blue blood back to the heart to go to the lungs, get some more oxygen, to send oxygen-rich blood out into the body. Yes, cardiovascular system also delivers nutrients that they pick up along the way from the belly, from the stomach. So having a working knowledge of each of those systems of the body, that's anatomy and physiology. We've got kinesiology at 12%. We've got pathology, contraindications, areas of caution, and special populations at 14%. And if this is the first time you're seeing this outline, rest assured, I will attach a copy of this outline to our class today. So when you revisit the Patreon site and you see Navigating the Body, joints, at the bottom there'll be an attachment. It'll be this content outline. I can just sense that some people are furiously writing, oh my gosh, what is this? How do you know this? Yeah, this is both online at the Federation's website, and it'll be attached to the class today. It's attached to a bunch of classes, to be honest, because I like you to have a copy of it. So benefits and effects of massage, 15%. Client assessment, reassessment, treatment planning, 17%. Ethics, 16%. Laws, regulations. And then finally, guidelines for a professional practice. Yeah. So this is what's on the MBLEx. And this is what this MBLEx review course is based upon. And this lends itself specifically to doing meaningful homework. And when you're given your instructions on taking the practice exam, I ask you to pick between two ways to take the test. One, are you going to simulate the MBLEx? When you take a practice exam, are you simulating the MBLEx? Let me assure you, you have to take at least 3, if not more like 5. Yeah, 3 to 5 full-length practice exams for you to be prepared for the MBLEx. That means taking 100 questions all the way through, without stopping, and finishing in under 2 hours. If you have not done that, unfortunately, you are not prepared to take the MBLEx. I've been doing this for 7 years now. I see the writing on the wall. I see the patterns. I see what needs to happen. Yes. And so plan to take a practice exam every week. The average person is here for about, well, I wouldn't even say how many months, because it doesn't really matter. And what I'd like for you is for you to plan to take a practice exam every week. So in working this program, 3 days a week, I'm going to give you an example. 3 days a week of studying. One day, you're here. You're in live class. Another day, you're taking a practice exam. And then the third day, you're learning more about the areas that you felt weak on. Or that third day, you're doing more of this, more navigating the body. There's an 8-week schedule. This Zoom link will be good for 8 weeks that you use today. Every Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern time. You can use that as one of your studies. This is one of your meaningful homework study sessions. But I mentioned there's 2 ways to take the practice exam. One, simulate the MBLEx. Pretend you're actually taking it, okay? Finish in under 2 hours. You don't have to pass. I'd like you to pass. I'd like you to pass at least 3 times, but you don't have to pass, but you've got to nail the timing. So that's one way to do it. And then the second way is as a learning experience. When you first enter this program, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. It's kind of funny though. You don't know what you don't know, for real. And so by taking a practice exam, like, let's just use it as a learning. Have a piece of paper out, start your practice exam, and work your way through. For the last week, we've had the immediate feedback feature on, meaning that you get immediate feedback on your practice exam. That feature is being shut off today, but I like to put it on a week every now and then, just to give you that learning experience of taking the practice exam and learning. Yeah, learning what you didn't know, or that maybe you forgot. So that second way is taking the practice exam as meaningful homework, as a way to do meaningful homework, jotting down what you didn't know, and maybe even opening a Google window and seeing if you can Google it. Yeah, see if you can get to the right answer. And if not, we're going to practice dissecting questions later too today. And use your test-taking strategies. Eliminate a wrong answer. Pick the best answer. Make sure you understand the question. All right, I think you get the point. So my test-taking strategy for you today is simply to do meaningful homework. At least 3 times a week. 3 times a week, it depends. You can stretch it out if you don't have 3 times a week. You'll just be in the program a little longer. But on average, 3 times a week, 1 practice exam, 1 live class, and other form of meaningful homework, reviewing our topic of the week. In fact, I'm going to start using that phrase, topic of the week. Our topic of the week this week, navigating the body. You ready to get started? All righty, welcome. Welcome to Navigating the Body. We are going to be talking specifically today about the joints and the skeletal system. All right. As a reminder, we have 12 different systems of the body. You just saw this on the content outline. We discussed the cardiovascular system, the anatomy of the cardiovascular system, the organs, the function. Each of these systems of the body you will need to know. Today, we're going to be talking about the skeletal system. You've got the muscular system, cardiovascular system, sometimes called the circulatory system, the nervous system, the lymphatic system, the digestive system, respiratory system, integumentary system. We've got the reproductive system, both male and female, and then we've got the excretory system. Yes. Now you may say, hey, wait a minute, I thought there was an immune system. Immune system is another name for lymphatic system. Yeah. But these are the systems you're going to need to know. The organs that are a part of their anatomy and their function. Let's take a look at the skeletal system. So there are 206 bones in our body. And there are more bones in our hands and feet than any other part of our body. In fact, there's in our hands, there's 54. Yes, so 54 bones. And when you talk about both our hands, 27 bones in each. And then in the foot, there's 26 bones in each. We've got a little extra bone in the hand with the saddle joint. But 52 bones total in the feet. That's 106 bones just in our hands and feet. So please make sure that you do massage on the hands and the feet. Now, if you don't like feet, I'm going to say get over it. Feet are awesome. Feet are an awesome place to get massage. And then over half of the bones in our body are in our hands and feet. That's part of the reason it feels so good. We also have lots of nerve endings in our hands and feet. Another reason it feels so good. In this picture, you'll see, actually, before we leave this image, can you notice this dark frame? Part of this image is a little darker. You may call it brown or a dark pink. This is your axial skeleton. Your axial skeleton. As we look at the next slide, you will see your appendicular skeleton. Yes, so axial skeleton is the skull, the spine, and the rib cage, sometimes called the thorax. The appendicular skeleton is everything else. So all of our extremities, shoulder blades, hip bones, all the bones in our hands and feet are a part of the appendicular skeleton. So with the axial skeleton, part of its role of the skeletal system, the axial skeleton, is to protect organs. Yeah, to protect organs. And that's why there's a rib cage. It protects our heart and our lungs. Our abdomen's a little exposed. The cranium protects our brain. And so part of the role of the skeletal system, the axial skeletal system, is for protection. The appendicular skeleton helps us with our structure and our form. It helps to make this pile of muscles, this pile of muscles into structure and form. And that's in the appendicular skeleton. Muscles give us movement. Skeletal system gives us form. The skeletal system is important because where bones come together, they are attached bone to bone with ligaments. So ligaments attach bones to bones. Tendons attach muscles to bones. That's a different conversation. But ligaments attach attach bones to bones. Where a bone touches another bone, there is a joint. All right, so let's take a look at the arm. We've got an elbow. We've got an elbow. Use this. A nice little elbow joint. We'll be learning about the elbow. We'll be learning about what type of joint this is in a moment. But I want to point out that muscles move bones. When a muscle contracts, when the muscle shortens, so I'm in elongated, so I'm in elbow extension. We'll be talking just about the elbow right now, flexion and extension. Those of you who have studied with me in the past, you know there's flexion and extension of the shoulder joint too. We're talking about flexion and extension of the elbow. So extension and flexion. What is happening with this movement is there's movement at the joint. The muscle contracts, the muscle shortens to contract, to shorten. The muscle shortens and it moves the bones at the joint. Now these joints have names and they produce different kinds of movements. We have joints all over our body. The big ones we know about, right? We're going to talk about the big ones and the small ones. Get down into it. Let's take a peek. There are different classifications of joints. These are all of them. Sorry, you might need to know all of them. Yeah, true. Certainly to be familiar with the names. However, there's a few that are often on the MBLEx. So with the fibrous joints, let's start over here. These are under the category. So we've got two ways we talk about joints. We talk about their structure, how they're structured, how they're made, or we talk about their function. Most of us think about function of joints, right? The movement. But synanthrotic joints, so we're starting here with the classification, the functional classification right here. Synanthrotic joints are very fibrous. One that you'll probably recognize is the suture. So the sutures are in our cranium. When we looked at this, even that one shows it. So in the cranium here, you see these zigzag lines? When a baby is born, those zigzag lines are soft. In fact, babies are said to have a soft spot right on the top of their head. That's where several sutures come together. These are sutures. Now, do those sutures move? Do they move like the elbow joint inflection and extension? No, 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 no. If those joints moved, if sutures moved, the brain would fall out. I'm exaggerating a little, but we know that those sutures have fused. Now, I will tell you that in craniosacral therapy, part of what that, and some of you had like a weekend of craniosacral therapy while you were in school. Maybe you've had a session. You may want to try it. It's very, very, very subtle work. Sometimes you feel like nothing's happening. But what those craniosacral therapists are doing is they are listening with their hands for the movement, the very subtle movement of the skull. In craniosacral therapy, they believe those sutures do actually slightly move. Yeah, very, very subtle. Craniosacral therapy also addresses the cerebral spinal fluid in a person surrounding a person's brain and in their spinal cord. Sometimes after an accident, sometimes after surgery, that cerebral spinal fluid can lose its rhythm. And so with craniosacral therapy, they listen for the sutures and they listen to the flow of craniosacral fluid. And it's very subtle work. Yeah. But I wanted to point out to you that sutures technically are immovable, not moving, joints that don't move. According to the MBLEx, if you had a question about craniosacral, a little different. All right. The second category of joints in their function are amniotic. They move a little bit. You know, like an amphibian. An amphibian is a little bit of a mammal and a little bit of a fish. That may not make as much sense to you, but the amniotic joints move just a little. And the one you may recognize is the symphysis, and that's the pubic symphysis. So in between our hip bones, right, as they come down and form the pubic region, there's a little bit of cartilage in between those two bones called the pubic symphysis. And it moves a bit. So when we walk, it gives. It's more flexible than the sutures. A little bit more cartilage. Cartilaginous joints. In fact, you can see here the structure. This is a fibrous joint. This is a joint made out of cartilage. All right. And then finally, the ones we know, right? The ones we think of when we think of joints are the synovial joints. So they're diarthrotic. That's their function. They're diarthrotic. They move in all sorts of different ways. They're very movable joints. They're also called synovial joints, right? So we've got this next one, the synovial joint, the one we're most familiar with, the joints that move, synovial. All of these joints have synovial fluid in them. Synovial fluid lubricates the joint. So when someone says, oh, my knee, it's just bone on bone. Well, maybe, yeah. But that means there's no synovial fluid in that joint, or the synovial fluid's gotten very dry. It's gotten very dry in that joint. Now, massage stimulates the activity of synovial fluid. I'm not sure if it stimulates the production. Hear me on this, okay? Massage stimulates the activity of synovial fluid. And many, many, many times, I've had clients who've come in with knee pain. In fact, even my mom. My mom came in with knee pain. She's a tennis player, as am I. And she said, oh, there's just something not quite right in that knee. Well, by massaging around the kneecap, by massaging on the sides of the knee, by finding those tendons of the hamstring, by massaging the calf, her knee pain went away. We were able to stimulate the synovial activity. Yeah, so sometimes just, as we get older, we don't produce as much and it doesn't move as much, and sometimes when people get a little older, they don't move as much. But sometimes they just need a little help stimulating that synovial fluid around the joint. This can be a knee, this can be an ankle, this can be a shoulder. Let's dive in deeper into these diarthrotic joints. So they're joints that move, and they're filled with synovial fluid. Now, I will mention this uniaxial, biaxial, multi-axial. Now, you guys are getting better at dissecting words. Look at this word, uniaxial, unicord, unicorn, unicycle. How many wheels does a unicycle have? How many horns does a unicorn have? Right. So in a uniaxial joint, it moves in one way. Biaxial, two ways. Bicycle, right? Biaxial. And then we also have multi-axial, which is, they can move all around. But let's dive into the great work. That's a gorilla clapping for you. It's a lot of information about joints, right? Now you're clear. Super clear, right? All right. Let's go to it. What is the movement of flexion of the glenohumeral joint? We talked about flexion. We talked about the ball and socket joint. I will give you that, the ball and socket joint. So what is the movement of flexion at the ball and socket glenohumeral joint? A, moving the foot forward in front of you, decreasing the angle at the hip. Moving the foot behind you, moving the foot towards the butt without bending the knee. C, moving the hand in front of you, elbow straight. D, moving the hand toward the body, elbow bends. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, let's get rid of two wrong answers. I already see some answers showing up in there. Let's get rid of our two wrong answers, right? Because this is what we're going to do on the MBLEx. We're going to get rid of a wrong answer. Again, the question is, what is the movement of flexion at the glenohumeral joint? What do you notice about A and B? A and B are talking about a ball and socket joint, but A and B are not talking about the glenohumeral joint. Okay. So we can eliminate those two answers. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. Let's see what we got in the chat. Love it. Kadeem, nailed it. Be careful. CJ, you got it. Ms. V, you got it. Good. Diane, you got it. Yes, Ms. V. Yes, Maya. Good. Paris. Good. Angie got it. Diane got it. Good. Careful. We had a lot of, I didn't think this was as tricky as it is. Let's look at letters C and D. What is the movement of flexion at the glenohumeral joint? Moving the hand forward in front of you, elbow straight. Moving the hand toward the body, elbow bends. Best answer? Letter C. Remember, relay race, flexion. Here's the thing though, glenohumeral joint. Let me get my color. Let's see some color here. Glenohumeral joint, right? Flexion of the glenohumeral joint, handing off the baton. In letter D, the elbow bends. Moving the hand toward the body. So anatomical position. Moving the hand towards the body, the elbow bends. That is flexion. You are correct, but it is flexion at the elbow. Flexion at the elbow. Careful, careful. Careful, careful. All right, next question. Oh, look at that. See, there we go. Flexion and extension. Yeah, love it. I forgot I stuck that picture in there. Love this picture so much. Thank you for the credit for Getty Images on Who Is This? The Great Britain relay team, female team. All right. Next question. A saddle joint is found in the blank part of the body. A saddle joint is found in the blank part of the body. A, the ankle. B, the thumb. C, the atlas and axis, C1, C2. Should say D, the elbow. Okay. All right. Let's eliminate a wrong answer. We know the elbow is a hinge joint. So that should be letter D, but elbow is not the correct answer where the saddle joint is. Ready? Oh, best answer, thumb. Yes, look, guys, I can see you guys answering so quickly. Good, 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 good. Good, Diane, you got it. Brenda, you got it. Excellent. Pathithia, yes. Angie, yes. Good. Lily, nice. Miss V, you got it. Roxanne, yep. Mayor, good. Candace, yes. Kadeem, good. Maya, you got it. Jessica, nailed it. Good. Diane, got it. CJ, yes. Paris, good. Good, good, good. Excellent, you guys. Very, very good. Next question. The wrist is a complex system of bones. The carpal bones are known as blank joints. The carpal bones are known as blank joints. The wrist is a complex system of bones. The carpal bones are known as blank joints. A, ellipsoidal. B, condyloid. C, hinge. D, gliding. The wrist is a complex system of bones. The carpal bones are known as blank joints. Can we get rid of one? Can you get rid of one? Let's get rid of the hinge joint. Nope. Carpal bones are not hinge joints. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. All sorts of answers coming in. Oops, what did I do? Oh, I went backwards, sorry. And it's not a hinge joint. Okay, now I'm here in the good. Woohoo! Goodness gracious. That was quite a bit. Yes. And this image here of this building a solid foundation, that is these bricks that are being cemented into place. That is an example of a foundation. Yeah. And every hour that you spend studying puts another brick in the wall of your solid foundation. For real. So very good job today. This was a deep dive into joints. Yes, a little bit on the skeletal system, a little bit on joints. Want to wrap up by saying thank you. Thank you for making the time to study. Thank you for being here. If you're here, thank you for being here later. If you're here later, I really appreciate it. And this is your community. These are the people studying with you. And we're so grateful to come together as like-minded professionals looking to provide the best service, the best in massage therapy. So I'm going to sign off for now on this class. My name is Jodi Scholes. I'm your instructor for the MBLEx review course. I hope you have a fantastic 24 hours. I am stoked to support you on this journey to becoming a licensed massage therapist. Good job today. See you soon.